For over 90 years, Soviet and Russian tank designers pushed the boundaries of armored warfare, sometimes brilliantly, sometimes disastrously, and occasionally into pure fantasy. From Edward Grote's welded tank of 1931 to the modern T-14 Armada, this is the story of prototypes that almost changed history, projects that failed, and a few outright fabrications. Some were ahead of their time, others doomed from the start, but many shaped tanks that ultimately entered service. Let's start with the interwar period. TG-1, prototype medium tank designed in 1930 by German engineer Edward Grote, featured welded and sloped armor, dual turrets with 76mm and 37mm guns, and wheeled tracked drive, far ahead of its time. Rejected due to extreme cost, mechanical issues, and poor ergonomics, but influenced T-28 and T-35. PT-1, experimental 1932 amphibious tank combining Christie suspension, wheeled track drive, and gun armament, demonstrated superior mobility and firepower compared to foreign designs. Never entered production, but proved feasibility of amphibious Christie-based tanks. SMK heavy tank, two-turreted heavy tank developed as T-35 replacement, tested during the Winter War with acceptable performance, abandoned in favor of the simpler and more effective single-turret KV-1, BTSV-2, BT-7-based prototype with sharply sloped armor at 58 degrees, earning the nickname Turtle. Armor protection proved excellent, but increased weight crippled mobility, directly influenced the sloped armor concept of the T-34. World War II era, KV-13, experimental universal tank designed to replace both T-34 and KV series, featured cast armor and improved crew space, but suffered reliability issues. Development evolved into the IS-1 heavy tank program. A-40 flying tank, T-60 light tank fitted with glider wings for airborne deployment, successfully landed after tow failure, proving concept marginally viable, abandoned due to impracticality and aircraft limitations. LTG Gavilov light tank, light tank concept mounting heavy tank armament with claimed high speed and protection. Never produced and remains poorly documented. Possibly influenced later Soviet light tank ideas. Amphibious hovering tank, hovercraft-based armored vehicle powered by two aircraft engines with propellers. Remained a paper project as wartime priorities shifted to conventional armor. One of the most unconventional Soviet tank concepts. Tank fighter crawler, ultra-low profile two-man tank with reclined crew positions for survivability. Armed with cannon, grenade launcher, and machine guns. Never progressed beyond sketches. TR-26, armored fuel tanker prototype based on tank chassis. At least one prototype built in 1936, likely abandoned due to vulnerability and questionable battlefield survivability. Tank with lifting tower, concept tank with telescoping observation or fire tower up to 10 meters tall. Intended for urban combat and observation roles. Rejected due to extreme vulnerability and mechanical complexity. Early Cold War, IS-7 heavy tank, advanced 68-ton heavy tank with 130mm naval-derived gun and exceptional mobility. Exceeded bridge limits and weight restrictions imposed in 1949. Only prototypes built. One survives at Kubinka. Object 279, heavy breakthrough tank with 4-track suspension for nuclear battlefield survivability. Excellent mobility for its weight, but extremely complex to maintain. Program canceled due to impracticality. Object 775, rocket tank, low-profile missile tank with uninhabited turret and stabilized driver's position. Armed with 125mm missile launcher. Rejected due to guidance unreliability and poor visibility. Object 911B, Soviet experimental light amphibious tank from the 1960s. Featured low weight, swimming capability, and reconnaissance potential. Project did not progress beyond prototypes. IT-1 missile tank, only missile-armed tank to enter Soviet service. Engaged enemy armor at up to 3,000 meters using guided missiles. Withdrawn after short service due to production and doctrinal issues. Object 327, Soviet 152mm self-propelled gun with high automation. Featured a turretless design with remote-controlled firing, allowing rapid, precise artillery support. Prototype only, never mass-produced. Russian STRV variant. Soviet attempt to create a turretless tank destroyer on a T-72 chassis, inspired by the Swedish STRV, focused on firepower and low profile, but remained experimental. K-90 amphibious light tank, boat-shaped light tank developed in 1950. Lost competition to PT-76 due to inferior balance of capabilities. Never adopted. Late Cold War, Object 476, Keter. T-64A, base testbed with 1,000 horsepower engine and improved turret armor. Served as technology demonstrator for future Soviet tanks, not adopted for production. Object 450, advanced tank project with uninhabited turret and isolated crew compartments. Depended on non-existent 1,250 horsepower engine. Remained at design stage. Object 906. Light amphibious tank developed in 85mm and 90mm variants. Approved for production, but rejected due to poor armor and ammunition capacity. Represented failed modernization of light tank concept. Object 292. T-80 based prototype mounting 152mm gun. Successfully tested without autoloader. Cancelled after USSR collapse. One preserved in museum. Object 640. Technology demonstrator with isolated rear-mounted ammunition module and armored blast door. Improved crew survivability concept. Never entered production. Object 287. Missile-armed tank based on early T-64, with dual 73mm guns and ATGMs, strong frontal armor, and good mobility. Rejected due to armament complexity. Object 788. Light amphibious tank concept developed in early 1970s, never advanced beyond preliminary design, overshadowed by Volgograd and Kurgan projects. Object 781. First Soviet tank support combat vehicle prototype, extensively tested but never produced. Concept later evolved into modern BMPT designs. 2S-14 Zalo. Tank gun mounted on a wheeled BTR chassis, similar in concept to the Italian Centauro. Designed for high mobility and direct fire support. Only experimental models were built. Sanguine. Soviet laser complex for countering enemy optoelectronic systems. Capable of temporarily blinding sensors and targeting moving vehicles. Never deployed operationally. Object 477. Mollet. Super heavy tank project with 152mm gun and maximum protection philosophy. Cancelled due to economic collapse of USSR. Represented final Soviet heavy tank concept. Post-Soviet and modern Russian era. Object 195. Tank with crew and armored capsule and unmanned turret. Prioritized survivability and automation. Cancelled in favor of Armada platform. Object 511. Fictional designation based on unfinished T-95 components. Never physically existed. Represents internet mythology around Armada development. 1K-17 laser complex. Soviet experimental laser system designed to blind enemy optics and sensors. Mounted on a tracked chassis with autonomous power supply. Intended for battlefield support. Object 787. Tank support vehicle with integrated laser systems. Designed to assist main battle tanks by disabling enemy optics. Prototype only, considered a predecessor to the BMPT Terminator. T-14 Armada with 57mm gun. Armada-based experimental configuration with 57mm gun on heavy IFV chassis. Intended role unclear. Remains concept with uncertain future. T-72 Sturm. Modern robotic urban combat tank with dozer blade and advanced sensors for close quarters city fighting. Prototype stage. Never deployed in service. Object 490A. Radical late Soviet tank concept featuring extreme crew protection through deep internal compartmentalization. The crew was placed in the most protected central section, with fuel and ammunition isolated forward and aft. Designed to survive modern anti-tank weapons, but remained purely experimental. T-99 Prioritet, alleged next-generation Russian tank project. Details classified or speculative. Represents ongoing MBT development efforts. Unified vehicle format. Command vehicle. Mobile command post with extensive communications replacing fighting compartment. Enhanced armor and NBC protection with 72-hour autonomy. Crew of 4 to 6. Reconnaissance vehicle. Lightly armed platform emphasizing sensors over firepower. High mobility and stealth. Used for battlefield surveillance. Transport vehicle. Turretless armored carrier for troops or supplies. Maintains tank-level protection and mobility. Supports frontline units under fire. Medical evacuation vehicle. Armored ambulance for battlefield casualty evacuation. Equipped for trauma stabilization. Crew of 3. Missile tank. A TGM armed vehicle optimized for long-range anti-tank combat. Lower profile than gun tanks. Concept tested, but never widely adopted. Heavy Infantry Support Vehicle, BMPT. Urban Combat Support Vehicle with autocannons, grenade launchers, and ATGMS, optimized against infantry and helicopters. Crew of 4. Self-propelled gun. Artillery variant mounting 152mm or 203mm howitzer. Automated loading reduces crew size, provides mobile indirect fire support. Gun tank. Visionary future tank concept with 1800 HP turbine, 2-man crew, and isolated control capsule. Emphasized automation, speed, and survivability. Remained conceptual. Engineering breaching vehicle. Armored engineering vehicle designed to clear obstacles, debris, and minefields under fire. Equipped with a bulldozer blade, crane, and mine clearing attachments, allowing armored units to advance through urban ruins and fortified terrain.